Welcome to Dakota Test Prep question walkthrough. What question are we going to do today? Some about welders. All right, let's just dive right in, shall we? A resistance welder has a current rating of 110 amps and a duty cycle of 30%. What minimum size of T90 nylon copper conductor is needed to feed the welder if terminations are marked as rated at 90 degrees? Ooh, this is a good question. I like this question. Well, first off, for welders, we're going to head over to section 42. And you know what I find handy is that the tables we need for welders are also tables 42. So I don't know. I just, in my little brain, that makes me happy. This one is very specific to resistance welder. And we are asking for minimum size of T90 conductor. So what is the question asking for? It is asking for conductor. Now, we always again ask which conductor. Is there individual supply? Is it like a bank, branch circuit supply? So this one specifically says to feed the welder. So the conductor for this one is the individual supply. The individual welder supply, which means we're going to go to section 42 and we're going to go -014. This is very specific to resistance welders and supply conductors for resistance welders. Now, when we have a welder, we have two different conductors we need to worry about. So we've got this one here, and then we have another one here. So there's two different types of overcurrents or disconnects we can have with the welder. Here, this is my welder. When this one says supply, this is the one very specific we want to talk about. Now, in general, it doesn't really matter except if we also have to figure out overcurrent because there's two different types of overcurrent a welder can have. Both of these are considered supply, but we have to be very careful with how the question is phrased. If it said overcurrent supply, it would actually be referring to this one because this one is specific to supply of the welder. We're going to talk about this guy right here. So what is the question asking for? Conductor, individual supply. Beautiful. What do we have? We have our current rating, which is 100 amps. And then we also have our duty cycle. And our duty cycle is 30%. Now, again, what I find very, very handy is when we are in section 42, the tables associated with our three different types of welders are also tables 42. So we need to find out what our multiplier is for our 30% duty factor. This one specifically is table 42C. We take a little boo here and it says that our duty cycle at 30 is 0.55. So now what we're going to do is we're going to head over to 100 amps, which was our current rating. We're going to multiply that by 0.55. And we get 5 amperes. So now this is the number we're going to be working with when we calculate what size of wire we need here. Which table now do we go to? Does it mention copper or aluminum? Oh, it mentions copper. Well, that's easy. Does it mention free air or in conduit? It doesn't mention it, so we're going to assume it is in conduit. So we're going to be going copper in conduit, which is table 2. You'll notice that it's saying T90 nylon, but it's also saying our terminations are marked at 90 degrees. So we're actually going to use the 90 degree column here. Normally we're used to using 75, but because our cable that they gave us and our termination is mentioned at 90, we're going to use the 90 degree column. So we head over to table 2 and that gives us a number 6. A number 6 gauge right there. So when we are looking at our CFQ questions, again, what is it asking for? If it's asking for any type of conductor, which conductor? We've got branch circuit supply, motor supply, welder supply. We've got the bank, because you can have a welder bank, the feeder supply. We have all different types. If you don't use the right code, you are going to have the completely wrong multipliers you need to use. The other thing you want to make sure you pay attention to is whether or not 4-006 applies. In this case, it would have. However, because the termination temperature was mentioned, we're going to go with that. It was mentioned at 90. All right, so anyway, there you go. We've just figured out a welder question.